This is Pat Dynamite, and you're watching BJDG Talks Wrestling. When Dynamite blows up, they don't get up.
Welcome back, everybody. BJ here, DG there.
What is going on? The first week after WrestleMania, we have gotten through it.
Barely.
And I have sound coming from somewheres, and I don't know where. Actually, I think I did. Yep, there we go. Oh, nope. That did not help at all.
All right, excuse us as we try to get through these technical difficulties. Rough week in the WWE. We'll start with Raw, I suppose. Some interesting things happened. We did a post show. Stephen Chambers, hello, hello. We did a post show Monday night. And it's not like fresh in my head right now, but I do remember a few plot points being the call ups and
Which we'll be getting to shortly with the call ups and stuff like that.
right, that continued on Friday.
Yeah. But let's ring the bell and get this underway. So, starting, I will sit here real quick. Let me pull this list up because I have it on my phone.
Oh, yeah, we might as well get into this.
Yeah, let's start with the releases first because there's also a couple interesting things with that for us to talk about. So this is the complete list individually of names and not just archives in the chat. How you doing, brother? So Alba Fire. These are also listed in ABC order, so a first name, so that's the way I'm going to read them. Aleister Black, Andre Chase, Apollo Crews, Bo Dallas / Uncle Howdy, Chris Island, not sure who that was, Dante Chen, who was in NXT, Dexter Loomis, Eric Rowan, Joe Gacy, Kairi Zane, Luca Crucifino, Malik Blade, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, the Motor City Machine Guns, Nikki Cross, Santos Escobar, Serena Linton, Trill London, LFG Season 1 winner Tyra May Steele, Tyreek Igwe, I believe his name was said.
I don't know how to pronounce that, but yeah,
Tyson
Tyreek
DuPont. They were the High Tower or something like that. Selena Vega. And unfortunately, one of the other couple names besides Kairi Zane that surprised and the Wise that surprised me, Zoe Stark. Which we were just talking about her a couple weeks ago about coming back.
Right, and we actually speculated on quite a few of these names last week. When,
high Rise.
High Rise, that was it.
There we go. I said High Tower.
Last week when I had mentioned, it's post WrestleMania, you know what that means, like, it's coming. I didn't realize it would be this soon, and I didn't realize it would hit this hard. Honestly, as like just a blanket response to this, like I was already super uninterested in the product, and now you're giving me even less reason to be interested in the product. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm gonna do my best here to like stay with it, even though I'm probably not going to enjoy it for a while, and I'm going to hold resentment. And I don't think the signing of Evil is enough to like balance out the loss of the Wyatts, the Machine Guns, and all of these things I look forward to.
Yeah, the Machine Guns were another surprise to me because they were involved in a storyline. Same thing with Kairi Zane involved in a storyline. Right. The Wyatts just wrapped up a storyline.
And Aleister apparently.
And I get it; they were a bit of a nostalgia act, but yeah, Aleister and Zelina were there were plans for them to be part of the WrestleMania main event with Randy Orton.
Right.
Which news came out about that both Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll backed out of what the supposed plans were for Backlash because they didn't even feel like they should have been a part of it. And those are outs. Well, Jelly Roll's an outsider. Pat McAfee 50-50 in the situation. But when you got two of those guys who are sitting there like, oh, why are we a part of this? This match doesn't need us.
Right.
and they're calling it out, that really says something. That's why they did the angle with McAfee that they did at WrestleMania, completely writing him off at that point. Which I give him dedication for after WrestleMania, going to some after party or something, still wearing the neck brace and everything. I'll give credit for that because he's preserving what happened to make sure that it protects the business,
Yeah, yeah.
regardless of how people may or may not feel about him. Alba
So
Fire, I was a bit surprised about. Andre Chase, not so much, but I always thought he had a
yeah,
lot of potential in the main roster in that mid card area.
well, he's a little older, and what I understand about that is they kind of wanted to use him more of a as like a trainer, and he wasn't about that.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I'm kind of,
I mean,
honestly, go ahead.
we'll get to speculating about where certain people will end up. Um, but yeah, no, that's I was not aware of that, and that definitely sounds like something that could fall into place, especially with the tag division they have right now. Yeah, they could have
Yeah,
taken all
I
these
agree with that
people,
as well.
started a new brand, and I would have been all about it.
And like they put so much into the Wyatt as an example in the beginning with everything just for the. And I'm not arguing them losing to the MFTs in the long run,
Right, yeah,
because
no.
there were bigger plans for the MFTs than there were for the Wyatts, and we even talked about that. But just the idea of you put all this time into it. And again, as I said previously a couple minutes ago, I get it was a nostalgia act. But you know what? It was a nostalgia act that the fans were behind that they never booked properly. Be it because Bray is gone, or be it because how much I don't want to say this, Vince had a better finger on the pulse of that storyline than Triple H or TKO did. Because that's another thing to talk about. Like, I see the conflicting stuff online of, no, it's still Triple H booking it. No, it's TKO booking. Mark Shapiro, the head of TKO and the board, has come out even after WrestleMania and said, no, we're in charge of booking. They're doing
Yeah,
what we want.
they have the final say. Like it gets booked, and they get to do whatever they want with it after that.
Yeah, which is why we had so much celebrity involvement and why it was cut down in that main event, and we got whatever that was in the beginning of that and getting it done right away just to get to the Pat McAfee spot at the end of night one.
And like all of these decisions, they just scream of greed. It's pushing me away, and I know it's got to be pushing away other fans. You
Hey
know,
man,
TKO, all they've done is shown you how money hungry they are with every decision they make.
and you know me, like I tried to put certain things, and I look at a list like this, and I can see a lot of the names make sense. Like
To a
they
certain
they
extent, we talked about
released
it
up
last week.
they
Yeah,
yeah they released upwards of, hold on, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 24 people, and we've had 11 call ups, so I get you're making space, you
and one
know
sign.
and one sided, but
That we're aware of.
Zoe Stark, who still hasn't returned, and now obviously isn't, but
Right.
they had plans for her before her injury. We could see they were gearing up behind her to do something with her. They were in the middle of repackaging her.
Yeah, from the
Um,
whole Shayna Baszler and Sonya Deville thing.
yeah, and then uh, the Motor City Machine Guns, a tag team division, which is okay, but when we look at that, there's not a lot of pure tag teams in that division anymore across both brands.
Right.
So you get rid of a team that helped anchor in that division some, and we were seeing them possibly on the verge of a heel turn or a split in WWE, which maybe that could be some behind the scenes stuff, and could come out that they asked for the release because they didn't want to split as a tag team. Um, let's see. in the chat here. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
we did that.
a lot of people were saying WCW comparisons after night one of WrestleMania. I saw a lot of stuff like that. And then a lot of these other names are developmental names. The biggest one probably out of that, Luca Crucifino,
Right,
who
right,
his new
which is out
gimmick
of
just
nowhere.
wasn't
Like,
catching. But Aleister Black, who you just re-signed a year ago,
yeah.
already cut. You cut Selena Vega, who either way was over with the fans still.
So, if anyone pays attention to social media, we are well aware that Aleister Black will not end up in AEW. Um, I don't know if you've
But
seen
he
any of
is.
that.
I also want to say though one thing, that he is one of the few people in interviews who didn't bash AEW after leaving. He actually had
Right,
nothing
but
but good things to say about him, so I
yeah,
do believe they're on a good relationship.
no. You haven't seen the social media stuff then that happened over the weekend. Uh, both, I can't remember the guy's name, and MJF came out and were like, "Hey man, don't come calling. We hated you here. Like, we don't want you back," on Twitter.
I mean, if
You're
it's
muted. Oh,
MJF,
no,
we're
you're not.
saying, if it's MJF we're talking about here, I would take it with a grain of salt because he would just tell everybody that could
But
possibly
apparently
be
that,
a.
but apparently stories came out that like he refused to go over, and like you know what I mean. Like, there's all kinds of there's some stories that came out. So yeah, he's not wanted back in AEW. That's like the general thought right now. So I don't see him turning up in TNA. Um, if anything, maybe New Japan would be a good fit for him.
You know what? I wouldn't mind him actually being on the Indies. It's for
I would love
personal reasons. Yeah, it's for personal reasons. As
it.
was mentioned, like somebody like Joe Gacy,
Yeah, yeah. Joe Gacy is
who's a
a
local
local guy.
boys. Yeah, but let's talk about the biggest surprise on this list. That it seems like it's been generally from the fans, and that's Kyrie Zane, who
Kyrie
was
Sane, yeah,
literally in the middle of a storyline that we were
right,
seeing develop, and that we thought would be a match at WrestleMania somehow,
right.
and that didn't come about. And then we turn around, get out of WrestleMania, like, all right, we're still kind of pushing this and doing this some. We saw it on Monday night on Raw,
Right.
and then just released.
Yeah. Uh, and what I read about that was they didn't see her as a single star on her own, um, and just being overshadowed by Asuka and Io. She was just kind of the third wheel, and that's like why they decided that.
I mean, that's how they booked her to become. If we go look over the
But
last year, they booked
but
her
that's
into a third wheel to where
right.
she's
But
had
that's
fantastic matches in the main event scene. She
right. So
can
now,
hold her own.
right, right. That's because they never saw her as a standout singles competitor.
I
That's
mean,
why
I
they
get
picked
you.
her.
I get when you're. If we're going to make the comparison to Asuka and Io, yeah, she's number 3 on that list, but it's not like we're talking about 1, 2, 3. Because
Oh
we're
yeah,
looking at the
yeah.
talent of all three. Like that,
Oh yeah, like we all know what she's capable of. Yeah, definitely.
like
But it's just the way they saw her.
at this point, this is something that we do expect every year. Are these releases and just seeing the amount of talent released this year. Like I get that. All right, maybe they're ditching the Wyatt angle. You could find something for somebody like Joe Gacy and Eric Rowan and Dexter Loomis to do still.
I mean, Schism was dope. You know what I mean? Like, go back to something like that. Rowan, I get it.
He was brought in because of the Wyatt thing. I
Yeah,
feel
and
like,
he was barely in the ring.
but
He's an older guy anyway.
I mean, a lot of these people, like the Motor City Machine Guns, older guys.
Oh yeah,
I mean, if they watch their own product, they would probably have the opposite thoughts of all of us. And this is really becoming more of us looking at TKO and everything as a whole. Like, you're shoehorning your product in and you're treating it like it's mixed martial arts. You're treating it like it's boxing. You can't treat pro wrestling like that. Pro wrestling is a different beast altogether. And yeah, granted, you're still selling out arenas at the moment. You're still kind of doing this. You're still, but now, what fans you're getting might
Yeah,
not
you
have the
froze.
money to buy, yeah, to get the ESPN subscription or to go to these shows. That they're not, that the message you're sending is they're not one. You know how many other companies are going to turn around to those fans and be like, "Hey, come
Hey,
watch
one
us.
over
We
here.
got guys you know, and we got guys you don't know you're absolutely going to love, like in AEW." And if it's one person right now across the board I will talk about that connects with the fans in AEW more than anybody else, it's Will Ospreay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, AEW is doing amazing things right now, storyline wise. I mean, not all of it's fantastic, but like, I mean, for example, oh yeah, definitely. Uh, I'm a little more
I can see
selfish than
that.
that though. Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, 100%. But I'd rather see
Hey,
him, do some local
hey,
stuff
hey, hey,
first.
that, hey, I'm just saying that is within our orbit. So,
Oh yeah, no, that's in our orbit, definitely. Like, yeah, uh, he would kill it also. Um, what was I saying?
TKO product, yeah, the way they, that's
Oh,
why that,
AEW are doing some
yeah,
amazing
yeah.
things. Like and people who have only watched the WWE product, like they don't know about Darby Allin. They don't know about Orange Cassidy. You know what I mean? There's so much for them there. There's Lashley, there's Ricochet, there's Jericho, there's guys they might know about, but there's so much
You
undiscovered
got
there for
Adam
them.
Copeland, you got
Oh
Christian,
yeah, 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 yeah.
you
The
got the Hurt
revival,
Syndicate, yeah, FTR. So there is plenty.
and then you got Kenny Omega, and guys, the Young Bucks, guys
Yeah,
who,
yeah, there's guys that WWE fans would still know because of dirt sheets and stuff like that.
mhm,
So it's not like it's
Hangman.
not. It just comes
Well, the
to a
casual
point.
fans aren't reading dirt sheets.
I feel like casual fans aren't reading dirt sheets now. They're seeing what some of these content creators put out there, which creates the narrative, which is a narrative that's kind of spilled into this show, some in opinion. Not that anybody is not a fan of Cody Rhodes. It's more not being a fan of how they booked Cody Rhodes. And that's something online to where it's almost a 50-50 split of, hey, we like Cody. We just don't want to see him with the title constantly when there's other guys that deserve it.
Yeah, what I meant by casual fan was more so just like someone who doesn't see anything on social media. They just watch the show occasionally.
I mean, I just feel like I mean, I feel like it might be within the casual base a 50-50 thing because if somebody follows one of those content pages, you know how it is. You follow one page, next thing you know, three more random ones come up that you don't follow. Like, oh, hey, you're interested in this stuff, so we're going to push this a little bit on you and see what, just how the
Yeah,
algorithm works
yeah,
sometimes,
but
So
but like
some fans,
literally
it
what I
comes
meant by
across.
casual, literally what I meant by casual is like people who just watch the show once in a while and don't partake in any of the extra like social media or anything like that.
It's just, it's really a shame of where we're at now, especially with so much talented people that, oh, hey, we have this whole talent to call up, so we're just letting you guys go. Like the story that Zelina Vega found out about her release from a Sean Ross Sapp report
Right, right.
right before she got the call. Like, what?
And and
How were
remember,
these calls not made first?
none of this is anything new. I mean, this has been happening every year for a year for as long as I can remember. You know what I mean? And a lot of the times I'm like, wow, that's surprising, but I get it. But I don't know. There's only so much of that you can take. You know what I mean? Like, besides what's on TV right now, like, what's left? Like, I feel like there aren't a lot of people on the roster who aren't currently involved in something.
And this makes you think of what does this say to people on the outside who could be looking at, hey, I want to get re-signed to WWE. And it's like, do I really want to take that chance? I look at somebody, and I'm going to say that, somebody like Aleister Black, all the potential in the world, who did solid work, but his most notable thing was his feud with Damian Priest.
Right,
That
right.
was the most notable thing he did since his return. And
And
they
that was
were
immediately upon return too, right? That was as soon as he came
yeah,
back, he jumped into that.
no, that was the end of last year.
Oh yeah, you're
He
right.
his
Yeah,
direct
okay.
jumping, I believe, was with Randy Orton initially.
That's right. Well, no, it was supposed to be. I don't know.
Well, no. They
Uh,
had plans that they had him geared up to. Oh, they had already been airing the vignettes to debut him on the SmackDown after Mania last year,
right, but
and
he
that was
hadn't.
when
But
we talked about, hey, what's the possibility that they just bring him back early to be the mystery opponent for Orton?
right, I get that. But then I don't remember whether or not he entered a feud with Orton when he came back.
Oh, uh,
That's like,
archives. No, they've done it. They did this last year too. People just
oh,
involved
they
in
do it all the time.
storyline. Yeah,
They do it all the
but
time.
I get the idea of trimming it down, but you go back and look, it's like you could have solidified your tag team division, keeping the Motor City Machine Guns and Dexter Loomis and Joe Gacy. Because they were a good team. They were not a horrible team by any means.
Right. Um, and then you look at, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Come to think of it, who's left? Who's not in a storyline? We got Ivy Nile and the Creeds. Like, I guess there's I guess there's a future for them. Uh, I don't, I haven't been impressed. You know what I mean? I haven't really seen much of them lately. I haven't seen anything that really blew
Yeah,
me away from them since NXT.
I think one of the Creeds I think one of the Creeds is injured at the moment, which is why. But it seems like since Chad, just no BS at the moment, since Chad Gable's gone into the Americano gimmick, that they completely ditched the American made stable altogether instead of still featuring them on TV, because them three together are a good stable and
No, I
are a
mean,
good
because
team.
we have seen them backstage, like in segments. They may have even had a match here or there.
But
Um,
I'm just saying, with the
but
Creed's
not for a
injured,
month or two.
yeah, like Ivy Nile, I want to say the last time we saw her was
She was feuding
in
with
what?
Natty, right?
No, not maybe, but I think the last time we saw her was in some battle royal type situation.
She had her hair down.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that
like
was like a month and a half ago, I think.
yeah. So it's kind of like you have people who are like, you look at Ivy now, you're going to be like, all right, she might be short, but she looks like an ass kicker at her size. You did good things with her in NXT, and then this is the fear of coming up to the main roster. Is we look at some of the call-ups, like somebody like Soruka, who has star written all over her because
Right.
of how she is, because of her style in the ring. Somebody the same with Ethan Page, who is great, but I could see him getting lost in the shuffle very easily.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Um, I wouldn't like it could happen to anyone from NXT, but then what are you going to do? Stay in NXT forever? You get maybe another year or two out of your career, but then you get Andre chased out.
See what you did there. Hey,
Yeah.
audience, what do you think of that? The live studio audience appreciated that. All 1 billion of them.
Yep. Um, yeah. So the positive side of this is local indie promotions, no matter where you are, might be seeing some new faces in 60 to 90 days or 30 to 90 days. Um, and that will be good, but it's a small positive with so many big losses.
Yeah, but in the end, this did make room for them to sign newer talent. It seems like WWE might be going back to their NIL style of doing things instead of the indie wrestlers, which I think is a mistake. You should have a decent mix of both because those indie wrestlers can help teach some of these kids, especially down in NXT, while they're learning. They can work with them on in-ring while they're learning the WWE way of doing things. Because we've seen a
Well,
lot of the guys who have come out of WWE and using that knowledge to their advantage. Somebody like a Ricochet, who
it's
wasn't...
like it's like the WWE has a philosophy that there's only one way to learn, but then they keep changing what that way is.
I, I, I'm really curious, especially if we're still doing this 5 years from now. Do we see a... Like, I'm just saying for what, hey, you don't know, we could move on to other things. Like, the channel will always exist in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
You know, but just you and me sitting here doing this now and looking at 5 years into, from 5 years into the future back to now, like, hey, remember when we had that conversation about where WWE will be 5 years from now? Like, at the rate is, like I said, they're telling fans that, and I get the fans' feelings should be fully important, but fans aren't just feeling that now. They're feeling the prices of everything. They're feeling how much it costs to be a fan of the WWE.
to
And
watch everything, it's like over $100 a month. Go to
it,
anything, it's unaffordable.
it's a real money grab at this point, and it's like, you know, I understand buying the company, but in the end, hey, you should have let WWE be WWE. That's where that should have been. Let them keep doing their thing. Well, obviously, that's just a gimmick. But I think it's a good time to move on from this. We've spent a half an hour on this to where we could be talking about other exciting things in wrestling at this point.
Yeah, this has been too much of a bummer. Let's keep it moving. Ugh,
Calm down, Lavari. Calm
I
down.
hate it when I accidentally use that phrase.
But let's talk about some of the NXT call-ups before getting into everything
Yeah,
that
some
we
bright
saw
side
this
kind of
week.
stuff.
We've seen, I mentioned it, Ethan Page being called up on Raw this week. We
All
had,
ego. He's been on
yeah,
major rosters before. He knows how it's done. I think he's
yeah.
going to make an impact.
We had Sol Ruka call up, and we talked about this on the Monday show. Her and Liv Morgan, great match.
Yeah, I think
We'll
they're
be
going to shoot
talking more.
Soroka right to the top.
Yeah, we'll be talking about Sol Ruka more in a little bit. Um, and then over on the SmackDown side, as I'm going through my list of stuff here, we get the surprise of Fatal Influence being called up, which was something I've talked about the last couple
We were
weeks.
talking about it
And,
last week. Yeah.
um, and who I consider the third wheel in that faction. I was surprised she was there, but then as I said on the show, she shouldn't go with them just because of how new she still is.
Inexperience, right?
Yeah, but because it's WWE, they'll do the complete opposite and keep the faction together which kind of, oh hey, Tara's name was said and then she appeared.
Oh, hello, Tara.
It's just a gimmick. Hope you're having a good day at work. We saw a video package for a Ricky Saints call up, which I know CW's not happy about. They were pushing to try to keep him on that roster, so it had some solid talent, but I think the NXT roster will be just fine. There's plenty of veteran talent ready to step into these positions, being led by Tony D'Angelo.
Right.
We had the Joe Hendry call up for Monday Night Raw. I feel like that they've pulled all the right names for the call ups currently,
Yeah.
and there could still be a couple more to come.
Yeah, Dark State, I would keep them down there and keep them like make them just dominant if they haven't ruined their image already.
Like I feel like I said, I feel like if their names were even mentioned as part of the call up, you have to do the Nexus debut. You have to have them come in and destroy one of the or have them show up and destroy both Raw and SmackDown in the same week. I would
Oh,
even go. I would even go as far as to do it on the go home shows for Backlash and have them show up during the main event at Backlash and completely trash the main event.
did I hear that Blake Monroe got a call up?
Yes, Blake Monroe as well. They showed a video package for her on SmackDown.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
They made the right choices. So okay, looking ahead, let's just like play this game real quick. 1 year from now, who are the call-ups that we're talking about? Besides Thea Hale.
You know what? I'm surprised she wasn't released.
Really? You think?
Yeah, what have they done with her? She's talented. The only reason I would say she hasn't been is because of her age. She still has a lot of room to grow
Yeah.
because she got into the system really young. But this time next year, Tatum Paxley.
Hank and Tank.
I could see Keanu Carter, Tony
Lexus King.
D'Angelo.
Miles.
Nope, I think Miles is 2 years out still.
Another year. Yeah.
Depending on what happens this year, that could change by SummerSlam time. We could see a shift in that. Jordan Grace has been called up for a while. I actually saw something where she's kind of pushing in the back to become the first Paul Heyman girl.
Oh, okay.
I'm for that.
Zarya, I could see like right around SummerSlam call up. Reinsert her with Sol Ruka.
Maybe if they don't decide to keep them on separate shows temporarily, so that you can get that build up and then bam, bring them back together. Kalani Jordan said in the chat, I'm surprised she wasn't caught up, but then again, she still could be because I believe her and Mello are on their honeymoon currently. Jada Parker, I still think might be a year. This time next year would be an early call up, maybe depending on what they do with her this year. Lola Vice, I could see being called up. Now here's an interesting question. Do we see anybody from AAA make their way to the main roster as stays, not as we're just appearing?
Right. I mean, there's a list of a few that come to mind. Mr. Iguana.
I'm surprised
Vikingo.
that's the first name.
Well, only because he's been there the most so far. You know what I mean?
I would love to see. That. I would love to see La Parca. I almost said Lamarca.
Yeah. Dr. Wagner. Maybe
Psycho Clown.
I would love Pagano and Psycho Clown. I would love to see
that would be
them.
amazing.
Yeah. I would have loved to see the Wyatt Six go to Mexico and battle them. And, you know.
That's another reason why Santos was a surprise for me. So I'm like, he was doing decent.
Yeah, he's killing it in Mexico. Well, he's going to probably end up in AEW or CMLL.
Well, speaking of this, a couple things real quick. The big yearly AAA show, Mask versus Mask, Americano versus Americano. Also, in the next couple weeks, it looks like we're going to get a GM assigned to AAA, and that things there will be officially changing. So we could be looking at a new product there now.
Right.
Which
I figured they would have done that by now already. Hey, what's up, Eddie?
Well, no, you gotta wrap everything up.
Right,
I don't think Tony D'Angelo would be one of the few names I would say could get called up before WrestleMania. But I feel like with what they're doing but I feel like where they're going to be need to be held to anchor down the brand for those divisions currently until we get after WrestleMania next year. Because Tony D'Angelo, the spot he's in now, he should have been in sooner. In all honesty. when they had the D'Angelo family still, he should have already been NXT champion.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It was a little crowded at the top back then. You had Trick and Oba and Joe. No, no, not Joe Hendry at that point.
Or not until Rey Mysterio's done. Vampiro would be interesting, considering he just had his final match ever during WrestleMania week with JCW and Stranglemania.
Speaking of Vampiro, I've been hearing rumblings that they may be trying to get Lucha Underground back together.
I don't even think it's something back together. There's been a couple teases thrown out there the last week and a half.
That's what
I think it's already that they're throwing the teases out there, and that we could be getting an announcement of something maybe in the next month or two. I think that we're going to keep seeing little things like that. And hey, at this point, some of this talent we've seen released could be something really that would be huge for wrestling. I just hope that they get a good deal somewheres where it's actually, but part of me hopes it's just on YouTube. Let the relaunch be on YouTube where everybody can see it. They don't have to pay for it. They don't have to go get some like Netflix subscription. Like,
Right.
That was after the fact that they got a hold of it. But you won't need an actual subscription. And if it goes anywhere, put it on Pluto, put it on Tubi, put it on the Roku channel. Something people don't have to pay for, so that everybody gets to see it and you can build to something.
Agreed. Yeah. 100%. If these rumblings do end up being something, I'm looking forward to it. And I'm just gonna pretend that last season never happened.
Well, you know what? Even then, I hope that it kind of plays off of it as a resurrection of sorts from the last season. Or was it an abrupt? I'm trying to remember. Or was it an abrupt end with no closure?
Yeah, Jack Swagger won the championship in the final match, and that's how it ended. And it was kind of an out of nowhere thing.
Look, you have him open the show. Yeah, you have him open the show. The purple hat just floats out there and challenges him for the title and wins it.
Well, it was him, but I don't know if that was his character.
No, that wasn't his character then. And that would create so much potential a Lucha Underground return, because now you look at some of the people, a lot of those people are now signed to other companies, but imagine if Chelsea Green
Santos
eventually
is available now.
Yeah, I mean, Ricochet is in AEW, so
he'd be able to do it.
Maybe
King Cuerno, Prince Puma. Judas Messias is still available, I believe. He's in Mexico.
Yeah, and Matt, and think about this current crop of indie talent across the world right now. And imagine just as a name of some of people we know. Imagine like the back seats.
Oh yeah, definitely. But Live Danger would be a good fit also.
Tarzan Duran.
He'd be guaranteed, I feel like.
But there's just so much potential to something like that, and we live in a world now where, with the access of like social media, especially things like YouTube, a new streaming thing called Kick, and a lot of these other things where you don't need a paid subscription to see anything. They could do their shows on Twitch and probably make a killing, because everybody's going to be like, for us, Lucha Underground's equal to the old Ring of Honor days. Like, we can hold it up there at such a level, and it was something different, and it was what I'll put it like this: Lucha Underground did something better than what the WWE did. Pure entertainment storytelling with the mix of wrestling involved in it, without nothing necessarily getting lost in the mix. Like, let's remember, Dominic Mysterio has made his wrestling debut in Lucha Underground.
Right.
Like,
let's just not bring Sexy Star back, though.
I was always a fan of Matt Stryker on commentary. I loved him in WWE, and I hate that part of the reason he got fired was every time he had something to say, he could call back the history of it, and WWE didn't like people acknowledging at that time the outside of the WWE universe.
Right.
I'm sorry, like, you could do it without calling it out in name. Like they would say, oh, this person's a former world champion outside of this company. That's all you have to say. That's all you have to do. Other things we saw this week, another thing we saw, which it went between both shows, was Jacob Fatu.
Yes.
You know, he appeared on Raw this week. He also had a match on SmackDown this week. I'm kind of hoping he just goes to Raw, but I'm not opposed because this is one of those situations to where it's like it almost makes sense, right? Because you don't want Jacob going after Cody. Because
Right.
you would if you did Jacob versus Cody, you almost have no choice but to put the title on Jacob. Like, I'm sorry, all the Cody fans would be all about, but they're going to turn around and be like at the same time, like, we also like him, and we kind of want to see him with the title more. You know, like, I think it's time. I think it's time for Cody to take a step away from the title personally, and not even be in chase mode. Just put him into a blood feud with somebody. Have somebody cost him that title that takes his attention away from it. And now he has to deal with the likes of the Sami Zayns, of those people
Either
who are of the
that,
Kevin Owens mindset, of the Randy Orton mindset.
either that, or do the whole self-doubt angle. You know, he loses the belt, and it's like, I don't have what it takes to do this anymore, and blah blah blah, and have him like doubting himself and losing like
Or,
matches that he
yeah,
should win for a while.
you could even go as far as to say that self-doubt leads to the rebuild. You
Hmm.
know, comes to a point to where we
Well, yeah, it
see.
starts with the self-doubt, and then it builds up to him getting back to where he was.
And you know, and this is something we've talked about regularly, and that I honestly brought up 2 years ago when it came to finishing the story. And I relate it to Avengers Endgame. Anybody that's a fan of the MCU movies and stuff and what's happened is when you could compare the two, as in WrestleMania 40 in Philly. It was 40, right? Yeah. It was the Philly WrestleMania where he finished the story. You know, they did a really good job with that build up of even having him and Seth lose night one at WrestleMania to set up the Bloodline rules match with Roman to give us what was one of the greatest moments. I rank up there. I can say Cody's title win and how it played out and the story that went with it. That you could probably, whether a fan or not, you just look at how they told the story. Top 5 stories to go into to close out of WrestleMania. Um, and that's just off the top of my head. I could be wrong if I were to make a list. And I'll safely say top 10. I'll go top 10 safely of the finishing the story. Of somebody who's seen every WrestleMania, of something a lot of fans today probably have it, and a lot of them probably couldn't stomach the original WrestleManias.
Yeah, try to get through two. One and
Yeah,
two were horrible.
yeah, yeah, that hurts me to this day still. But
When I was a 7-year-old and discovered wrestling, the first one I saw was three, and then I rented on videotape one and two, and I was like, "What is happening here?" Like, I just didn't understand how far it had gotten in like a couple years.
yeah, two's the
You
one that
know?
was in like 3 different cities, right?
Right, right.
Yeah, that's what made that one hard. But back to my point.
Yeah,
So,
sorry.
no, we're good. So, Cody Rhodes finishing the story. We peaked. And even afterwards, great matches. He had some banger matches defending those titles against top tier talent that deserved to be in the spot. A lot like the John Cena retirement tour of dream matches. And the problem wasn't the matches. It was the problem. He was just going out every week and waiting for the next person to come out and be like, oh, hey, it's now my turn. So we're just, which I don't mind plug and play championship scenarios. because the champion shouldn't always have some one person chasing them for 6 months and then the next person chasing him for 6 months. It should be other contenders along the way with the intertwining storyline. The issue became that storyline we kept waiting for. We ended up going back to the Bloodline in the middle of that, which nobody wanted. Nobody wanted Cody re-involved with the Bloodline, especially trying to help Roman nonetheless.
Right. And the climax was him winning the belt. Like after that, no story was ever going to match, and they did nothing to try to build anything to that.
Yeah,
They were just like, all right, we'll just throw him in
yeah.
quick month-long feuds here and there.
Yeah, up until we got to Kevin Owens. When we got to Kevin Owens with the fallout of War Games, of that match where The Rock, after that, The Rock comes out, does the cutthroat 1, 2, 3 thing, you know?
And if Owens would have stayed healthy, we'd be singing a different song right now. But they had nothing for him at that point.
And even though Cody beat Owens previous up until the neck injury, because we knew about the neck, he kind of knew about it at that point. But
right,
we that was the first time, and we're talking November, December at that point, 4 months out from WrestleMania. You want to give him a story now? and now my comparison to the MCU and Endgame, being that when we got to Avengers Endgame, the entire MCU peaked and never recovered. Same thing that's happened.
Spoilers. I'm going to watch it tonight.
Like, that movie was the peak of the MCU, and they've had a lot of trouble bouncing back from it. And they've just kind of started with the newer Avenger movies of our getting ready to come out and everything. And even then, the interest isn't the same. And it's something would make sense. And it's something we talked about on this show. The fatigue of the character. Not that the character has to change. The fact that character is still in the same position. And now there's resentment from fans when we were like blatantly told, Cody Rhodes will not get another championship match. You had your GM mad at the current champion at that time, being Drew McIntyre, and violating that contract. And breaking your own in-universe established rule of,
I blame TKO for that whole debacle.
But that's how I see that. Yeah. But we're just over 45 minutes into this, and great conversation, but let's talk some of these shows.
Let's go.
We kind of started bringing up Jacob Fatu. I love him. Beginning of Raw, I loved the opening with Oba Femi, short, sweet, to the point, the ruler has arrived.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely love that. We had Rhea and Io defeat the Kabuki Warriors in the opening match, which again looked like there was still story to be told there, but then they released Kairi, so it'll be interesting to see where that goes from there. We find out Rhea's also going to be a permanent member of the SmackDown roster, which we assumed was going to happen with her winning the championship.
Right.
And speaking of Cody Rhodes, it looks like they're gearing toward Punk and Rhodes at some point now. It's just going to be interesting.
Which I'm fine with. Yeah.
I kind of hope it's an over-the-top heel CM Punk like back in the day. Like, you're not the champion we need. I'm the champion we need now, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to stop this. You got your opportunity, and now you've taken it from other people that deserve it. And I would even have him go as far as, hey, I might not like the man, but Drew McIntyre beat you. You should have never gotten that rematch.
Yeah. But will TKO pull the trigger on that?
No, of course not.
No.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to move on. Ethan Page, Javon Evans. After a little backstage thing, we find out about Ethan Page's call-up. They have a fantastic match, which, because of Russo's interference, Ethan Page picks up the win, and it looks like there's still the best chase we are seeing in WWE right now for a championship is that Intercontinental title picture.
Absolutely. Penta holding firm, but so many people nipping at the heels.
Yeah, Judgment Day promo with Liv celebrating her big win at WrestleMania, which now coming out, we do know why that match was so short. It's because both ladies are banged up. You know, Liv obviously after the meeting of the minds thing with Roxanne, but nonetheless, like they still went out there, did their thing. You know, we can still criticize that they could have gotten a little bit more time. They could have reworked the match some just to take up more time. But in the end, Liv Morgan absolutely deserved that moment. I cannot take that away. That I feel like for the last couple years, especially being a runner up in the Rumble at one point, and then the next year coming out winning this year winning the Rumble, you know, Liv Morgan's really proved her how valuable she is to this division.
Oh yeah,
But
absolutely.
we get Sol Ruka's Raw debut being official. Her and Liv Morgan, fantastic match. Zarya interferes, setting up another match we'll talk about shortly. I would like to go in depth some of this more, but we have to make up for time due to some of the bigger conversation that mostly took place, which was the firings of everybody. But we all do wish them the best in all their future endeavors. Unlike TKO, that probably doesn't give two shits.
Uh, just wanted to say I was watching the Stevie Richards show, and he had brought up a point. She hit the Soul Snatcher on Alexa, right? And Alexa proceeds
Or Liv.
to, or sorry, yeah, Liv. Liv proceeds to not only roll out of the ring, but literally log roll halfway across the ring. So pretty much that's undermining that finisher right there, and its debut on the main roster, and Liv still has the energy to aggressively roll out of the ring to set up that spot where she chases it to the outside and sorry attacks. Like I don't know, I just think it kind of sets, it makes that finisher as amazing as it looks look weak.
Not as weak as Jelly Roll kicking out Kit Wilson's finisher.
That that's not even a comparison here.
And that's why my spot was going to happen in the ring and not at ringside. Freeze up.
You were frozen for like 10 seconds there.
I mean, maybe she thought the spot was happening in the ring and not outside the ring, so that could just be one of those things to where it's better to clear and not be in the way,
But
regardless of the
like,
situation. No, I get what you're saying. I didn't really register it like that because I was more focused on what was happening at that point. So I saw the fans' reaction of what was happening. So my brain instantly kicked into, okay, what's about to happen?
because it looked a
Um,
little weird when I saw it. I was like, wow, she really rolled out of the ring. Like, she didn't just like take one rotation and then like it was like three rotations. She log rolled. And it didn't like register to me right away. But I was watching this morning, I was watching a little Stevie Richards and, and he had brought it up. And I was like, wow, yeah, you're kind of making that finisher look weak by doing that.
no,
And
I do
he had
agree with.
proposed a couple different ways that it could like have been done better.
Yeah,
Not the
no,
worst way to do it, but
no, I absolutely agree. I hate to say that I agree with Stevie Richards, but I agree with Stevie Richards.
his show is dope, man. He's got a
No,
great
it is.
perspective on modern wrestling.
Uh, After that, we had Division coming out. They brought Heyman has his thing to say. They bring out Braun Breaker, which brings out Rollins and a beat down to Rollins until we get the return of the Street Profits,
Solo cups to the
which
air.
I am absolutely happy with. I am a fan of those guys. I really hope that they figure out what to do with them, because if they can't figure them out this time, I hate to say it, this next year we're going to be talking about them possibly being on the list of people that have been future endeavored, and at that point, there are companies like TNA, like AEW, where there's going to be guys already in those companies like, you need to sign them, you need to
Right.
figure it out. Because let's just say the Hurt Syndicate's still around, and all of a sudden we hear them talking about wanting to expand some. Oh my God! Imagine that for that whole stable with them added to it. Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, all being managed by MVP.
So, and weren't we just talking about this during our Mania watch along when Belair came out and revealed that she's pregos? Um,
Yes.
we were just saying, well, I was like, we need to see the Street Profits back soon, blah 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 blah. And then I think it was the very next night they came back. You said no, we need to keep Montez at home taking care of Bianca. As long as long as she stays off TV, we need to keep Montez, you know.
As long as I don't have to see her on my TV, I'm happy.
But yeah, great to see the Street Profits back. I don't know why he hates Bianca so much. Um, great to see the Street
Oh,
Profits back,
we have talked about this.
and especially in this role. Um, we
Yeah,
have, I just don't remember. Oh,
no,
the hair?
because I feel like what she does in the ring counteracts how she's presented. So it's not all right. I'll put. She is very athletically gifted. She is good in the ring. She's great in the ring. She's
Yeah,
had
she's
some.
fireman carried Otis.
Yeah.
Remember that?
No. I take nothing away from talent or anything, but I just get that disconnect of her actions in the ring compared to how she's presented. There are just certain actions that, to me, is something that somebody in her position should not be doing unless it's called for in a match type where, like using the hair as a whip. In a very standard normal match, that should never happen. In a no DQ match, I could be like, I'm not a fan of it, but I can let it slide because in the case that hair does damage, you can audibly hear the whip off every microphone when she smacks somebody with it. Just like Pete's punishment, which you will see this Tuesday on Indie Spotlight, you know, just saying, like, that's the sound that I keep hearing, and I'm just like, oh, it doesn't connect with me with the character of how she's presented, so it becomes a disconnect to me. That's all it is that disconnect. If she
I
was a heel
understand.
doing it,
I understand what you're saying 100%, but I disagree. It's a gray area anymore. It's not black and white. The lines are blurred anymore between heel and face. You could be the worst bastard out there and fight as dirty and, still be over. You know what
no,
I mean? Like,
I agree. No. I agree, but I feel like how the character is represented and how the character is presented to us on TV, that character doesn't live in the gray area. She's one of the few. It would be like take at John's peak John Cena in his babyface run when nobody wanted him there, right? And he would have those moments where that aggression would come out. When it did, it was called for. And I even said the same stuff like the last man standing match with Batista. Gray area. I don't have to be a fan of it, but it's a gray area when he duct tapes Batista's legs around the ring post so he can't get up. That's a heel
I
move, but
I don't
it's in a
consider that a heel
match.
move in a match that calls for it. I consider that doing what it takes to win.
Yes, yeah, no. But I'm just saying the way the character is presented to the actions of the character. In that situation, you would expect the babyface to outright win. And put the opponent down for the 10 count. Not have to use the duct tape. Because to me, that shows that that person knew they couldn't get the job done. And if your top babyface feels like that and is using those actions, it's a slight. But at that time, that was just something where I was like, wasn't a huge fan of Batista ever. So if I had to pick between the two, I'd rather Cena kept the title. So, like, it's one of those things now I look back at and I laugh about. Because it's funny, and that's what it became. It became more of a comical moment for me than anything else. For what was supposed to be a serious match between two people who rarely cross paths.
Right.
So I felt like it's something that was more, which did lead to them having a rematch, and which caused one of the rare John Cena injuries at SummerSlam.
Wasn't it the two of them that simultaneously eliminated each other at Rumble?
Yes.
Right
Yes.
before Vince blew both quads.
No, that's that's when Vince blew both quads running out to the
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
which it was supposed to be Batista, if I remember correctly. I could have it swapped. It was Batista who was supposed to touch just before, but somehow they dumped over the rope and both touched at the same time, and even the referees are like,
Yeah, I remember Charles
why is
Robinson, I think,
Vince
was one
running
of them,
out?
and he was raising one guy's hand, yeah. Vince comes storming out. Dude, I gotta rewatch that. That was a classic moment.
But yeah, in the chat real quick, we'll be getting to that. But as I said at the top of the show about Fatal Influence, I called them going to SmackDown specifically because I thought they would be a great addition to that SmackDown roster. And JC Jane's kind of getting the big moment already with her match with Rhea this past week. Other things in Raw real quick. Finn Balor defeated JD. It looked like after that, the Judgment Day was behind him until Dirty Dom attacks him. So that story's not over yet. I expect them to have one more match at Backlash. Maybe this time the AAA Championship will be on the line. We get an interview with Gunther backstage. He gets asked about the favor. We get no word on that. There's also interesting news about Brock Lesnar and the WWE/TKO. I don't know if you saw this week. WWE could be and TKO could be in the process of a lawsuit against Brock Lesnar.
Because of his unexpected retirement?
Yes.
No way.
Yep. Which, I'm sorry. I'm going to say that. So I saw a stat. Brock Lesnar in his career in WWE had 144 matches. Not a lot. But if we're going to look at his accomplishments, as of right now, Brock Lesnar is retired in my eyes. He is also a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. In addition to all his titles, he beat the streak. He was the youngest World Heavyweight Championship ever, I believe.
Actually, no. Youngest
At the
world
time.
champion. No, yeah. But then Randy Orton got it. But actually, it's cool that you bring that up real quick. Because technically, the youngest world heavyweight champion, if we consider the lineage of all the belts that WWE through buying WCW and everything, is actually Paul White, the Big Show.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, he won the belt in his debut match, right?
Yeah. 23 years old. Randy
against
Orton was
Hogan.
and Randy Orton was 24 when he first won the title, who they considered the youngest world champion. Still.
No way. I would have never known that.
Yeah.
He didn't look no younger, than Orton at that point.
Eddie, Randy Orton is not the youngest world champion of all time, as I just said. It is the Big Show.
Whoa! At that point, he was the Giant.
Yeah, but if we're talking just in WWE terms, it is Randy Orton currently. I believe Brock Lesnar's the youngest WWE champion at that point. So, however, but at that point, there was also no World Heavyweight Championship because they had been combined to create that version of the Undisputed Championship, which I absolutely love. Right? That. Yeah, the Big Gold was no more at that. And then they brought Big Gold back.
Okay. They hadn't brought it back yet.
Yeah, no. Brock Lesnar held the title for a few months. He was at Triple H had won a number one contenders match to face him. Brock Lesnar refused to work with him because that's when the champion was jumping between the shows. There was a hard brand split, but the world champion.
Yeah, I wasn't watching at that point.
So yeah, we're talking 2002, late 2002. The brand split was just kind of getting underway. So the world
that was
champion,
right after I stopped watching. I famously stopped watching after the invasion angle.
I don't blame you. So much wrong with that angle, and it's nothing that WWE necessarily did wrong. It was the names on the other end that wasn't enough to care. Which, speaking of WCW real quick.
Not just that, they had plenty of talent, they just didn't write it well.
Just real quick, I want to bring this up because we didn't talk about. I meant to bring this up on Monday because the news had just broke the day before. Van Hammer, member of Ravens flock back in the day in WCW, passed away this past weekend. So condolences to his family as well. Bringing up WCW, wanted to make sure that I remembered to bring that up this week.
Of course.
But yeah, and then the main event segment of the night was Roman appearing. I like how they did his walk to the ring this week. Him arriving in the truck, him walking, seeing the Usos, congratulations, and then him inviting them out. This is something I speculated on, and as I said, I believe I said it on the after show, I'm glad they didn't do it at WrestleMania. I'm glad they did let the main event stand as a match. Even though I do question a couple things in that match, like the steel steps being used in a normal match. That's my biggest grievance on that match is the steel steps being used. But in the end, referee's discretion.
They
They
never
acknowledge
DQ for that in a normal match.
Well, no. So they won't DQ for throwing in, but once the steps get disconnected and it gets used like a steel chair to be used like that, kind of like the announce table. You don't disqualify for the announce table, but if I were to pick up the piece of the announce table and use it to swing it like a chair, that should be a disqualification.
Right.
Those are little things, but that Night 2 main event was absolutely great. I think it could go down. It's going to go down as one of the top main events when fans talk about, especially for this era, which at this point might be the last great main event we see, depending on what happens next year.
Well, what? You don't think Rock and Roman's going to be good next year?
I think that's going to be the only match that's going to be good next year.
That'll probably be the only match on the card next year.
For both nights. It's going to be
Yeah.
It's going to be the realest Iron Man match ever. 8-hour Iron Man match between two nights in Saudi. Stone Cold Steve Austin's the referee.
Right.
And we're stripping Cody Rhodes of the title, and The Rock's going to win it.
CM Punk will be on commentary for night 1.
No, no. I'm sorry. CM Punk's going to cost The Rock the title after The Rock ended the 434-day reign of his years ago. We're bringing everything full circle, people, in Saudi where nobody will be watching.
I hope I'm not.
But Jacob Fatu interrupting, that I absolutely loved as well. They really did a good job putting that segment together.
Oh yeah.
And I love that currently at the way it stands that they are going to have Roman be true to his word of what he said on the post show and that he is going to be there as champion, which really does make you think that we're not looking at a year-long reign for Roman. We are looking at Roman building the next generation of stars and giving them their moment to shine. Because, again, anybody that says somebody can't get over in a loss and be built doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. There's a difference between having a There's a difference between having a banger match and your champion or your one person going over as compared to what's a burial is a squash match. That's who was it? Like Goldberg. What was it? Kevin Owens? Oh no, Dolph Ziggler. I would consider the Goldberg Dolph Ziggler match for SummerSlam. That was Dolph being buried at that point. Because Dolph was. I remember here. I think it was on Busted Open. It was Busted Open. I heard him, or was this a clip from it where he was like, "Yeah, when they planned that match, I wasn't even supposed to get a single move in. Goldberg let me get that super kick and a couple moves in before."
Or Kofi Brock for the title on SmackDown.
That was just a bad decision.
Kofi Mania! Okay, Brock wants the belt.
Yeah. Not that I expected Kofi to have a super long reign, but at the same time, like, it could have been done better. They should have done that match on pay-per-view. And they should have I get the idea. You have Kofi going up against essentially an animatium wall at that point. That there's going to be nothing that Kofi's going to do to Brock. But let's do it on pay-per-view. and not just have him get completely destroyed in
Put a
seconds.
stip on it so that like Kofi can hit him with something.
Oba's not the only one coming for Roman. Gunther has called out Roman. Jacob
Yep,
confronted Roman.
yep. I have a
Bronson
theory.
Reed on social media said, "Give me a couple more months to heal." I'm one of 3 people that's beaten you since you became the tribal chief. So we look at this list of people that are going to be coming after him. It'll be very interesting to see what we get, I would say, at SummerSlam, because of the idea that I don't see Oba being immediately in his path. We still have somebody like Gunther. We have somebody like Bronson Reed when he returns. We have Jacob Fatu currently looking like he's going to get the title shot at Backlash.
So do we have, okay, is there any possibility of the Usos turning on Reigns and joining Fat?
No,
No, you
too
don't think
soon.
so?
Not unless
Not
this is
yet,
the
not yet, not yet.
I would
Down
say
the line.
so. So if I'm looking at that as the possible maybe a goal there, then what I would do is I would have Roman run through everybody but Oba. And the title change happens the same night Oba wins King of the Ring, and you throw a wrinkle into what everybody thought. Like, oh, Roman's going to put Oba over. No, now instead of it being the finals of the King of the Ring, I mean, if they're back with Roman, Roman never turned babyface. Roman's never apologized for anything he did. But if he's going to consider the Usos equals now, that makes the bloodline even that much more deadly. And this is something that was hinted at pre-WrestleMania. When Jey Uso's out there screaming at Roman, put him away, put him away. He talked trash about our family. And Roman turned around, was like, okay, I'll listen, and goes and destroys Punk some more. Like, this is something that was hinted at. Like I said, I'm just glad they didn't do it in the main event of WrestleMania, because then you get the backlash of Roman winning the title. Because it would have been with help. And to be honest, Roman at his best is in this gimmick with or without the Usos. Just having the Usos being back in that orbit will get them back to tag team championships. We'll put them back on top. And the only thing that we're going to hear out of everybody is, oh, it's because The Rock's on the board. Well, when they were on top, The Rock wasn't on the board then. And if it's anything that happens in wrestling, gimmicks get repeated and we get at least one more run with something that was really big, like the Bloodline, like the Shield, like Evolution, like DX. They all had reincarnations.
Well, we're
Even
not
though
getting a Shield reincarnation.
no, but poor CM Punk, he's lost a world title match to every member of the Shield.
We could get a Straight Edge Society
He has
reincarnation.
put. I really wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, Gallows, he's not doing much
Yeah,
anything right now.
but with that, we also have to re-sign Stevie Richards and bring back the right to censor.
I'm sure he'd be down.
Yeah, I'm sure he would too. I just don't know about Serena Deeb is the only one I don't think they would be able to get, because I still think she signed to AEW.
Oh, yeah, she's still signed.
But yeah, all right. So it's not on our rundown on our page, but I want to talk a couple matches from NXT real quick, specifically the championship matches. Miles Bourne, Dion Lennox, great opening match on the show this week. Miles Bourne really showing a lot of potential. I think that the more they build him up, the fans will get behind him, and I think he's the next incarnation of Randy Orton. I really do. It's hard not to see it. But I want to talk about the casket match from this week. Tatum Paxley versus Blake Monroe. And real quick, question, everybody in the chat, if you would like to answer, BJ as well. Can anybody tell me, without looking it up, When was the last time in WWE a championship was decided in a casket match?
I'm gonna say never because
Wrong.
okay, because casket matches are usually just about the gimmick and not about like a title. But I can see that it one be maybe in like the '90s with back when Paul Bearer and Undertaker were doing their thing.
Well, we see if the chat chimes in. We'll start talking about the match some. Yeah, Tatum Paxley retained her championship. You're kind of there, but no.
Mankind,
No.
Cactus Jack.
We'll talk about the match some, and then I'll give the answer. So again, for anybody who may just be tuning in or whatever, before this past Tuesday on NXT, when was the last time a WWE championship was defended in a casket match? I thought they really put this match together really well on NXT though. Lots of great spots. There was one spot I absolutely loved. It looks like Blake Monroe has to win. And know that championship belt she had that the Vanity Project got her? It was in the casket. Blake Monroe goes to close the casket. It appears closed, but then the belt is halfway out, so the casket wasn't closed all the way. So she didn't win the. Absolutely love that spot. Just those very minute things. But I thought they did an excellent job with it. And especially after that match, before we saw the video package on Friday, it really did feel like that was the end of Blake Monroe's story in NXT. As we know, she's been called up now.
And she was like made for the main roster. From what I hear, when they signed her, she was pretty much main roster bound, but she actually volunteered to go to NXT first.
Yeah, and then recently it's come out that she kind of wished she did it, but I think it actually benefited her to help create this new character she's doing that they gave her. As compared that we get this character debuted on the main roster and then we're just like, why? Because at that point they should have kept her as Mariah May if you were going to do straight to the main roster, in my opinion.
Yeah, but then it's like they get into the issues of regardless, I think it definitely benefited her in a
So do
little
I.
bit
I
of
think her
character development and familiarizing
yeah,
herself with the fans.
and I will always say for people coming out from other fans and stuff who have never been in the WWE system or weren't really taught TV, being in that NXT system, even for a short time, you're going to learn a lot really quick in your presentation of how you do everything. And let her perfect the gimmick before calling her up. Because
Yeah,
this character
exactly.
is different in many ways than Mariah May.
Right, yeah.
But excellent match is one of my potential matches of the week.
Okay.
And to give the answer, the
I found it.
last time a WWE championship was defended on in a casket match was
It was the year I
Shawn
graduated high school.
Michaels at the time, the WWF champion, defending in a casket match against The Undertaker at the Royal Rumble in 97?
98.
98. Which is also after that match, Kane comes out, destroys the casket, throws gasoline on it, and lights it on fire with the show going off the air. Also, this match is infamous for being the match that retired Shawn Michaels for 5 years. Before
He
he
lost
came
his
back.
smile, right?
No. He lost his smile in 95, 96.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That wasn't that. Yeah, this was the back injury
The back
retirement.
injury, yep.
the
There
born
have been
again
plenty.
retirement.
Yeah, there was plenty of other casket matches in between, but this specifically, a casket match has not typically had the championship defended, and I love that they
Twice
pointed.
ever in all of WWE, twice ever. That's interesting.
Actually, I think it.
I hear you typing away.
I'm
No,
gonna
that was
that,
the only. They were the only examples I found.
no, because the Undertaker to help Yoko.
Oh, now I get that clip. Okay, yeah. Still,
And then
regardless, like,
also, I don't remember the Mark Henry one be. Oh no, Mark Henry was not a title. Okay, but yeah,
it doesn't
it's
happen
not
often.
typical. Yeah, it's not. Doesn't happen often. The other match I want to talk about from NXT this week: Zarya defeating Sol Ruka. Another potential match of the week for me, cause oh my god, these women put on a show. An absolute banger of a main event. I think it's one of the best main event matches in the last couple years we've seen on NXT TV. Just wow. Especially that final spot coming off that platform. Which I'm glad Sol Ruka wasn't seriously injured. But wow. Like her head, she went through one table and her head bounced off the edge of the other and didn't even put a dent in that table. And BJ just disappeared. So we all know what sound effects about to get played.
I'm back. I'll be right back. Just kidding. Yeah, that looked rough from every angle, and it was a very well written, dramatic ending to the match and everything. But oh my God, uh, just another extra push, and she would have been fine. Just it's unfortunate
Yeah.
that landing. Hopefully, she's gonna bounce back and be all right.
I mean, I definitely think she will. I'm just hoping. I saw it and my first thought was concussion.
Oh yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah.
even worse, a cut to the back of the head or something, which would put her out even longer because you would have to let that heal, especially if it's staples. Do think that NXT's in good shape. I I don't see anything bad happening. Like people are still going to watch. Especially
Yeah.
NXT gets decent ratings because they're on normal TV. You don't need USA or something for that. Another match that was interesting, real quick. Also, congratulations to Alexis King on winning the Men's Speed Championship this week. Keanu Carver versus Joe Hendry in his final NXT match. And Joe Hendry loses by ref stoppage because Keanu Carver just was beating the crap out of him and knocked him out after a finish. And, it's not often I'll say this, but it's good for Keanu Carver because in the next year, I can see him being called up. And I kind of have in mind the first couple people he might go after. And that list is Obafemi, Gunther,
Right.
and Jacob Fatu. But yeah, let's did you catch any Dynamite this week?
I did. I would have to pull it up to recall anything.
Well, Darby Allin defended the title against Tommaso Ciampa
Right. Yeah.
and,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
winning via the sharpshooter, retaining his championship in the main
Yeah, there was
event.
that stare down between Champa and MJF as Champa was
Yeah,
on his way to the
because
ring.
MJF came out demanding his title shot.
Right. Right.
We had Adam Copeland without Christian, but they challenged FTR to a New York street fight at Double or Nothing, and if they
To,
lose, they will retire as a team.
to which challenge accepted on Collision.
Oh, all right. That was accepted. I haven't
Yeah,
seen
and
Collision yet.
and they didn't dance around it. Cash just grabbed the mic and he just said, Challenge accepted.
I love that short, sweet, straight. Another
Yeah.
was a really good match that stopped due to doctor stoppage. Just with the storyline. Mark Davis defeating Will Ospreay.
That was
There's not,
brutal.
dude. I swear, there's nothing bad I can say about Will Ospreay, man.
No, 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 no. He's amazing. He is one of the best wrestlers in wrestling right now, if he can stay healthy.
Yeah. Let's see. Stuff from SmackDown this week to talk about. Tiffany Stratton defeating Giulia to win the Women's United States Championship. Should have been a WrestleMania match, but
Yeah, I'm cool with it.
there's another person I'm surprised we didn't see released, Giulia, because they've been booking her poorly.
Yeah, but they just signed her like maybe what was it, a year or two ago, and like just
Julia's
called
been
it up.
around for a while now.
Yeah, yes, Eddie. I was just gonna bring that up. The Brody King and Leo Rush match was dope. Uh,
Yeah.
Leo Rush, man, like I'm glad he's found this niche because he was super annoying in other niches. But this I really like.
But even in his WWE run, whether he was wrestling or was managing Bobby Lashley, I absolutely loved his presentation. He has it on the mic. He has it in the ring at his
Oh yeah,
size. Like it's just a shame that major companies don't see that same potential that everybody else does.
right.
It just
Yes,
makes me think of what some of these companies are looking at that nobody else sees. That they don't see that everybody else does. I'm sorry. I said that backwards. Uh Other things, we have match between new women's tag team champions Brie Bella and Paige taking on We're Not Friends, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, which ends in the infamous no contest due to the SmackDown debut of Fatal Influence, which isn't the last time we see them in the night. What did you think of that? Oh,
well,
let's fast forward real quick. We get Rhea later on in the show coming out to the ring. We have them come out, which, God, the heat on them was absolutely amazing. I haven't heard an arena at WrestleMania wasn't even that loud. As was the Fatal Influence just getting booed out of that building. Like, if they can maintain that, we're talking at a group of legit female heels.
oh yeah,
Which eventually led after that promo back and forth. Nick Aldis comes out and immediately books JC Jane versus Rhea Ripley, which she held her own in that match. That match was great. That ends at Rhea Ripley and winning by disqualification due to outside interference. They take out Rhea. But my question now is, what did you think of total what we saw on SmackDown of the Fatal Influence call up and debut?
I think of all of the call-ups, this one really has the potential to make the biggest immediate impact. Um, I think there's a lot to work with there, and I think these ladies pair well with a good majority of the females on the roster.
It does two things. One, you have JCJ who can be inserted to either. She can take the loss to Rhea, say at Backlash for the women's championship, and then step back into that United States title picture
Right,
and they can be dominant. You also can have them in the tag team division as well.
right,
This is something that I thought we were going to see with Fatal Attraction, and we saw how that went. They were on. I think that whole group was on the verge of being called up. It really derailed Priscilla Kelly. It derailed JC Jane, who had to fight back out of that whole debacle after
right.
Mandy Rose.
Yeah.
Which to this day, I still don't agree with the decision of them releasing her over that reason. But whatever. I get it. Especially considering the decision they made not long after, when it comes to certain individual content.
Right.
And this is pre her OF page.
Right. Yeah.
This is before that.
Yeah. Her OF page was a response to being released.
Yeah. So, like I said, I absolutely love what they're doing. When we had talked about potential call-ups over the last couple weeks, I said from the beginning, Fatal Influence to SmackDown.
Yeah.
They can't
Yeah,
go
you
to
were
Raw.
on that. And you were
Yeah.
like, if not all of them, then at least just JC and what's her name? Jasmine? No.
Fallon Henley.
Fallon. Yeah, no, Jasmine's the one who got axed.
Yeah. I'm absolutely for it. I'm excited to see where they go. I love the fans' reaction in both appearances. Them debuting during the women's tag team match, and then them coming out and interrupting Rhea during her promo. Absolutely love it. I love the heat it got. I haven't seen something like that in a long time. Of that amount of boos.
Yeah, we had
Yeah,
mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where that goes. I'm just not sure of where he'll fit in currently because
Yeah, I don't see him as a very good fit.
I see him as a good fit for the roster. It's going to be hard for me to take him serious in NXT when I know what he's capable of and that he can dominate 90% of that men's roster with ease.
And also, that brings to my attention, like, as far as going back to the releases, sorry, Shinsuke still has a job?
And that be, I would say this. Here's what I would be interested in. A split of the MFTs. We see we see Tongaloa and Tama Tonga, and maybe Evil. Because was it Evil a member of the Bullet Club for a short time?
Yes. Oh, okay, I see where you're going with this. Little mini Bullet Club reunion.
Or maybe some incarnation of it. Maybe, but just real quick, you bring up Nakamura, and that's where I was going to kind of go. Like, they don't know what they're doing with Nakamura from week to week.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how does he still have a job when, like, they haven't done anything of note with him?
He's very much a brand ambassador for Japan, so I kind of see where he has the job still.
Yeah,
I do not want
another one.
But if they're going to go, here's my thing: if they go, let's just say they go that route, we take the members of what Bullet Club there is still. I don't want to see Finn in another group right now. He just got out of the unless this is a Judgment Day rebuild and they bring a couple new people into that group and now we're going to see faction warfare type thing. All right. That's Finn calling in favors from a bunch of friends from New Japan. Like, hey, oh, you have this team? That's cool. You don't want what's going to be coming for you now. I would love to see Nakamura involved in something like that as well, so it would give him something to do. I've always been a fan of Nakamura.
Who was never affiliated with the Bullet Club, as far as I know.
But something in WWE that he would fit into it would be Nakamura.
Right.
I'm just looking at a WWE version that would fit. It would give Nakamura something to do. You know what? Let me be perfectly honest. I would love to see Nakamura go back down to NXT, not as a demotion, but as something for him to go down there and help elevate some of the guys, given his history in NXT.
Yeah, doing a Dolph Ziggler or Johnny Gargano like they did, like.
Yeah, because so much to teach and
Charlotte,
so much.
She did
there's so much down there for that, and he's somebody they can learn a lot from. But back to the conversation for Evil, I really do see a main roster debut for him. So I think
Yeah.
is this when it comes down to it? it's where he would go, and I kind of would want to say SmackDown, and I say that because it would be very interesting with his first big feud being with Royce Keys, who would have Ricky Saints in his corner.
Yeah, I think he's a good fit there, not just for that, but there's other potential matchups where
With
like
yeah,
where it
it
works out a lot better.
yeah. This right now, I see Finn Balor really being on his own. He has to get through this whole Judgment Day thing. I want to see that do something actually with him. He deserves to be in a championship picture.
Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn blood feud.
Only if Sami Zayn's El Generico. Uh, I mean, I don't mind that group. I just wouldn't call it Bullet Club or any references of it.
Well,
And
they're
I
not
would
going to do
have
that anyway.
yeah,
They're not going to make.
but they would mention Bullet Club. They would mention the Bullet because WWE does mention that stuff now, so I could see them mentioning it. But I wouldn't want the group to be called anything like that. And
Yeah,
I
as
would
far
want to
as
see
branding, they
I
yeah.
would want to see Tongaloa and Tama Tonga both a member of that group as a tag team. But I think Tama Tonga has a lot of potentials as a singles wrestler if given the chance for him to actually be in the ring doing something and not just arguing with Solo every week. But real quick, other things I want to talk about from SmackDown. And there's going to be people in the chat who are not happy. I'm going to bring this up, and
Oh,
for
yeah,
that you
Cody
can
was in
all
the
be
Bullet Club
cursed.
too.
Yes, for a short time. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't long before his AEW.
Correct. Yeah. It was he left WWE, went to TNA, and then Japan, and then AEW.
A Ring of Honor.
Oh,
You
right.
But what I would like to bring up at the moment, which I absolutely loved this week, was was both skits, video packages that led to the Danhausen Miz match. Danhausen showing up at the Miz's house just had me laughing the entire time. Like, if there's anybody worth torturing who can get something like this over, it's the Miz, and he does an excellent job with a lot of this stuff, Danhausen stealing the slammy, using the golf simulator. And then, I don't know, the chocolate powder or whatever in the sec. Oh, hold on. The first thing. Miz answers the door. Danhausen's there. Then he disappears. Miz is walking through the house and just sees Danhausen in his pool. Oh my God. This is where comedy is done properly in wrestling. They do it the right way. It's over. It's when you get the pointless comedy that is there just to be there that makes no sense. Outside of something with R-Truth, because we all know R-Truth is there just to be there because you could give that man damn near anything and he's over. But I absolutely love Danhausen. They are using him properly. They are using him in a way that makes sense. I even love that he is announced as being from Mockingbird Lane, a reference to the Munsters.
Well, that was literally the street I grew up on.
You can't make it more obvious that this isn't an angle necessarily meant to be taken serious. He even has his little car he drives to the ring now. And I get not everybody's a fan of the comedy type stuff in wrestling, but it's something that's been in wrestling forever. I could go back over the last 40 years and just point out these silly things. And if I'm going to go to the first silly thing I'm going to point out, it's Doink the Clown. And we go through other silly things. Let's look at the Hollies when they were carrying scales down to the ring and calling themselves super heavyweights. That was a comedy thing. There's all these little things just sprinkled out throughout wrestling that have just been there. As Hornswoggle literally was a comedy gimmick in itself that he absolutely loved doing it. You know, like, don't, like, if I sit here and start talking about Little People's Court and that whole thing with glow stick version of DX, I'll be here for hours talking about it because I absolutely love the Little People's Court thing. But what they are doing with him is the correct. Yeah, a hurricane helps to a point, yes. Yes, Eugene as well, comedy gimmick. But God, did that William Regal being with Eugene was absolute gold and helped make that work. You need that balance of somebody who's also serious for it to kind of bounce off of. But I even thought the match that he had with Miz this week was not bad. It was what a Danhausen match should be. Like, it's not meant to be taken serious. Like, wrestling can't be serious 100% of the time. It just sucks that something like this is happening in an era of WWE currently where we look at the product. And if I can say the funnest thing I saw this week that actually made me smile, pop, and have a good time was the Danhausen stuff. It wasn't the Roman bloodline reuniting. I mean, up there's also Jacob Fatu being put into a championship picture of where he should have been pre-WrestleMania. WrestleMania Night 1 main event should have been a Fatal 4-Way. And then we turn around, we look at the Trick, and then after all that stuff, we also had the Trick Williams Championship celebration this week with Lil Yachty. And what do we get? Sami Zayn in a gingerbread man costume.
I mean, that wasn't comedy. That was deception.
No. I'm just moving on now. Let's try to move on. Yeah, anytime I talk about Tony D'Angelo, when I talked about her, that was my exact sentiment of when we talked about originally the Ricky Saints call up. That they wanted him to stay to anchor it, and that's what you got Tony D'Angelo for. He can anchor down that NXT men's title division easily as the face. And he should have been there much sooner. But one of the big things that came out that Trick Williams and Lil Yachty thing, it looks like we're at the end of the open challenge for now, which I'm okay with.
Which makes
open
sense.
Yeah, because that, which is interesting because Trick Williams, they're really trying to get him to be the heel. But I don't look at it as being heel. It looks like he's taking this reign seriously. And now people having to earn those championship matches will help build that. Especially at a time where obviously Sami Zayn's going to get his rematch. And that now they're going to finally put the nail in the coffin of this heel turd. And just official. Because you heard the fans again this week booing him. Like, it's the same thing. The Night 1 main event. What stuck out about that main event more than anything? Cody Rhodes being booed during that match. That is supposed to be your babyface. And if you're going to use anything similar to the John Cena playbook, at least when John Cena was champion, the fans might have rebelled against it, but it became a thing of let's go Cena, Cena sucks. Because all we wanted was him without the championship. When it comes down to what we would see in the ring, oh yeah, 5 moves of doom. Guess what? Every top star has their major 5 move. Austin had it, Michaels had it, Brett had it. We could go down the list. The Rock. It's just a thing. But when you see the fans that's outright booing who you're putting up as face of your company, that's telling you get the title off of him. Let him either chase or turn heel. WWE would be just fine. But even with Hogan, You know what WCW did when they started hearing the boos? They made him the third man. And even then, that was up for debate, as everybody has come out and said, Hall, Nash, Bischoff, that they didn't even know if Hogan was 100% going to be behind that until he showed up at the arena not long before having to go out. Because the backup plan was that it was going to be Sting, and I think the NW, and no disrespect to Hall of Famer Sting, I think the NWO bombs and fizzles out, and WCW fizzles out much sooner.
Mhm.
Or maybe not at all, because I will always credit the longevity of the NWO being part of WCW's downfall. That they played the gimmick out for
Oh,
too long.
absolutely. Once
Because
they split the separate factions and everything, it just got to be a bit much after that.
but for me, the split was fine. It was when they did the finger poke of doom.
Well, that, I mean, that was like the beginning of the end, definitely. But even by that point, it started to get a little stale.
Because at that point, what I feel like they should have done was completely phased out the black and white. Let all those guys go their separate ways. Because the Wolfpack red and black was over.
Yeah.
You know, they were over with the fans. It was a good fresh start for it to maybe eventually bring back the black and white. Because we never really got the full war of the NWO that we expected. By the time we got to that point a little bit, they reunited.
Right.
That was Kevin Nash booking for you. That
Yeah, and that's
booking,
what happens when you let someone like that book everything.
not that Kevin Nash always made bad decisions, but at that point, the worst decision made was using the cattle prod to end Goldberg's streak because he never recovered from it. Whether or not people are a fan of Goldberg is besides the point here. It was a bad decision. Goldberg should
I
have gone
loved
down.
that moment.
Goldberg, I feel like that the streak ending was fine. It's how it ended. Because Goldberg, not long after that, gets injured. And there was never a clear recovery or a clear path for Goldberg after that.
I'm fine with that. He should have never gotten as big as he did.
But he did, and that's something that really helped WCW. That kept WCW afloat when the NWO was with black and white was bombing.
Oh yeah,
Hogan
yeah, I agree.
and
I hated it.
him going over on Hogan was the right call to make.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
I
definitely.
feel like if that was just the case, I would have gone full circle. That moment back in the Georgia Dome after that Starrcade a couple weeks later, I would have had Hogan go over on Hogan or Hogan go over on Goldberg, and you have Kevin Nash and Scott Hall be the ones to come out and cost Goldberg the match. You now have a story there to revisit. You can have him feuding with Nash and Hall on his way back to back to Hogan.
No.
I mean, we
Big Cass
haven't.
is under contract with Ring of Honor, and Enzo is blacklisted.
Yeah, number one, I would love to see them both back in WWE. I absolutely love to see them teaming. Honestly, I'd love to see them teaming up anywhere on a permanent
I don't
basis.
even think that would ever happen again. More than just a one-off.
Yeah. Let's see. Uh,
Cass
main
hates
event.
him.
No, they actually worked together recently in the last
I
couple
know,
months. They actually worked
I
together in
know,
indie
but it's
show as
not.
a tag team.
I know, recent, yeah, in the last few months, but like they're not like, as far as I've heard, they're not on good terms like that.
I don't think they're on the same terms they were on WWE, but I think they've kind of patched things up and they're on friendship terms. I don't know if we would ever see that culminate going back into
No,
a tag team
no.
run. But I'm going to be honest, I ever see them in the same. And I think the majority of fans that got to watch them together and how good they were, if we were to see them end up somehow in the same company again, it would be really hard to not
Enzo's never
sit
going to
them
get
down.
signed to to any company.
The biggest, and you know what? It's sad because we saw him in TNA 6 months ago or something like that now, and he had a really good reaction. They were working with Fourth Rope, which I believe is his company, and it seemed like there was some good stuff happening there. But now, if WWE is, depending on how that relationship is currently, um, hey, how much does WWE get? As long as Enzo's not appearing against a WWE star, I guess it would be all good.
Uh, yeah, also, like, there's really no, that doesn't benefit anyone if they return. Like, that, like, loses TKO stock if Enzo and Cass come back. Like,
I think it picks up stock because it was one of the high. They were one of the at the time, and there's one moment I will recall when the mic didn't work, and you hear Enzo just acting like he has a mic in his hand, and he is screaming, and they turned the mics up so on the cameras and in the arena so you kind of hear him, and the entire crowd goes through the entire Enzo and Cash spiel. And then when Enzo was cruiserweight champion, that division was at its highest when Enzo held that cruiserweight championship. Like, there's something to say. It just comes down to the Enzo attitude. That's the problem.
yeah, and also the fact that he showed up to a PLE event and like tried to take over the show. Like he's blacklisted. Like no company will ever sign him. Cass is under contract, and I don't even know what you're on about with that other part. I don't know who you're hearing all this from.
If Vince McMahon returns to WWE, honestly, at this point, I hope he buys the company back.
I already want to stop watching. If he returns, I'm done.
Like it's one of those few things where I'm looking at it not from a story perspective, from a running the company perspective. Vince knew where the market is for the company, and that is
At times,
No,
at
no, no,
times he was just an insane madman.
no. I'm not talking about booking. I'm not talking about storylines. I'm talking about just the basic running of the company. Here's something that Vince McMahon knew. To create generational fans, tickets have to be affordable for everybody.
Well, that's just common sense.
Yeah. Something Vince knew and always, he never wanted to raise prices because he knew that that's the lifeblood, is the middle class and lower.
Let's put that one up. From who? You? No, they wouldn't. They're not over like that, man.
No, I think he's talking about Enzo and Cass, and I think if they
So am
return,
I.
I think as a surprise, if there's no hype and they just were to show up, they get the pop. But I also do agree with you. I think it would fizzle out really quick if they're not put in a position to succeed.
There's nothing positive to come of that. They're not going to make TKO money. Uh, it would lose more fans than gain. There's and also, yeah, Cash is under contract. Enzo's blacklisted.
So real quick, SmackDown main event. What did you think of Fatu and Solo?
Did not catch SmackDown.
Oh, he's being swapped. I don't know what swapped is.
SWAFT.
Swapped. Eddie, have you had one too many tequilas while watching us?
I haven't had enough tequilas.
But no, I absolutely love the match. Jacob finally gets that win over Solo. That Solo had been 2-0 against him leading up to that point, and well, then we don't know what's going on here, man. But no, I absolutely loved the match. The Usos came out during the match. He told them he didn't want their help. They still came out. As was mentioned, I believe, by Eddie earlier on, they were acting kind of heelish. You know, I'm interested to see where this goes. We know Roman will be on Raw Monday night, and that he will be answering the challenge from Jacob, which I think he's going to say yes.
Sorry, I'm deciding what beer I'm not going to review because I'm going to drink right now.
The one that's in your hand.
Yeah. How'd you guess? Ah,
I don't know. I'm Ginger. Dude, go on. Can you turn that back around real quick to the front? That's a really cool design. Very
yeah,
very
no.
simplistic.
I didn't even notice the arrow going through it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to review this one, but I didn't buy any beer this weekend, and this is just all I had in the fridge. So if I like it, maybe I'll bring these guys into my store. Anyway, continue.
But that's all I really got from other wrestling this week. Didn't have a chance to catch TNA this week. Just been a lot going on, recovering from our
Yeah,
WrestleMania week streams. I'm
I didn't
finally
even
getting my
hear
voice
anything
back.
about TNA. Usually by this point, I've heard at least like what happened on TNA. I haven't even heard.
Broken Matt Hardy returned.
Okay.
I do know that. But I wanted to show this real quick. We kind of talked about in the our pre-show. Scott Steiner's son, who was not drafted, but after the draft gets signed to the Tennessee Titans.
I'm guessing he's a linebacker.
I believe so.
I would imagine. If he's got the build and size and speed and strength of his brother, linebacker probably suits him best.
I can agree with that. Um, other other stuff that came out this week, which we'll talk more about on Tuesday on Indie Spotlight, is the return of Sideshow Pro Wrestling. Their
Yeah.
next show coming up Sunday, June 14th, Camp Carney.
I can't wait. Sideshow was amazing the last time they had a show back in February.
January? I
I
have
think it
to
was February. It was
let
right after Mad Love.
I will tell you in a moment. March.
I
March
could be wrong.
15th.
Oh, it was March. No way.
Wow, that seems so long ago.
Wait, isn't it still March?
No, it's April.
I guess I should make sure I paid my rent.
But I think we do have one more thing of business on the agenda. Match of the week.
Brody King Blackheart.
So I have a couple potential ones. One being Darby Allin and Tommaso Ciampa.
Very good match.
I thought the Brody King match was good as well. Other ones as my potential, as I said, the Casket match from NXT, also the Last Woman Standing match. With both of them on my notes, I kind of notated with a question mark, match of the week. Not much from Raw. I always feel like Raw is segment heavy. I feel like we might have to add segment of the week type thing now. Just as a
Moment
future
of the
thing,
week.
maybe. But I think, I'm going to go with that Last Woman Standing match. Sol Ruka and Zarya. I also thought Mark Davis and Will Ospreay was good. There were
Oh yeah,
great
no,
spots,
they're
especially
phenomenal.
that pile driver on the apron. But yeah, we do have stuff coming up. It's
Giulia.
tomorrow. We have our Raw after show, 10:30. Or I
Why do I
think
look
at this,
wet in that picture? I look like soaking wet.
um, it
What am
will
I, John Morris?
either, so at this point we'll either be live at 10:30 or as soon as Raw goes off the air, whichever comes first. Instead
Right,
of
right. We'll
going
schedule for
live,
10:30 and then yeah.
But typically, we'll go live a couple minutes after the show goes off the air now. I really don't want to be on the air doing a play-by-play of the final segment because it's
Right, right.
typically a promo
Although
segment.
if it's going to be a couple minutes and it's action packed, then it's fine. But like, we'll usually wait till after.
Well, typically, it'll be a judgment call if there's a match going on, or say, forbid they're running a bit later. Maybe we'll come on. We'll do play-by-play for the match. We'll see.
Either way, click that little bell on our YouTube page, and you'll get the
Yeah.
alerts.
And don't forget, Tuesday, 6 p.m., Indie Spotlight, where we'll be talking about everything from SPO this week and stuff coming up. As well this week, get to see Pete get the crap hit out of him with a kendo stick, which I got to host, which I'm pretty sure that was the drizzling shits, but that's okay.
You know, I haven't gone back to
With
edit
my
the whole
lost
thing.
voice and everything.
I just watched it back. You can definitely tell your voice isn't all there, but you did fine. You did fine. Pete did great. Um,
No, it was a lot of
he,
fun. Um, there could be some updates on punishments in the future going forward. We'll see about that. But Pete is now in possession of a get out punishment free card that he can pass on to anybody ahead of him in the standings if he loses again, and he chooses not to take said punishment. We will clarify the full rules on that more this week as well. We do.
along with we're going to workshop a name for that, right?
Yes. Yeah. There will be. I'm already been workshopping it, but for now, it's the get out punishment free card.
He's got the monkey in the bag briefcase. Yes.
But yeah, on that note, everybody, we're going to ring the bell. Get out of here. That thing over there next to me is BJ. If you do enjoy beer, I know he hasn't been live recently for any of his reviews, but pay attention to that channel. Go support that.
Thinking about maybe tonight doing a quick one.
Oh, I actually have something I want to show you after the show. I wanted to show it today, but maybe save it for Tuesday. But yeah, everybody, be good to each other. Keep putting good out into the world. And we will see you tomorrow night after Raw, and then Tuesday for Indie Spotlight. But until then,
like I
said, that's BJ. I'm DG, and this is BJ and DG Talk Wrestling. We will see you next time. So let me pop this graphic up here. Bam! Ring the bell.
This is the Gumad Angel Orsini, and you're watching BJ and DG Talk Wrestling on YouTube and Twitch. Forget about it.